Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Chinwei?
You are, I was expecting you to be on the beach after our last
I
exchange.
know. I
I
know. It's a
was super
little
excited.
cloudy and cold out there.
Oh, is it? Okay, so you're experiencing exactly what we're experiencing as well in San Francisco. Sorry about that.
Well, it's probably
So
a lot warmer, but we're used to it being a lot warmer.
Kenlyn, you're coming in a little low. I'm raising the volume on
Okay.
my phone, but I just want to make sure that yours is also on full blast so folks can hear you.
All right. See if you can hear me there, and I can take out my earbud.
It's still a little low. It might be an earbud thing.
All right.
I do love those earbuds though. They're super convenient.
I know. Oh, there we go. Is that better?
Not yet. It's still low for me. I don't know why. Yeah,
Mm,
is yours on as like full blast?
it's on full blast.
Oh,
Yes.
is it? Okay. Huh. Okay. Um, we may just adjust the sound as we go.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking the time. I'm very excited to learn more about your work. I've spent a lot of time doing research on you and just know that you are a shining light in our community. So, just to get started, can you just tell us a little bit about Evolving Sisters? How did you come up with that name, and kind of what is your sort of what is the full practice of Evolving Sisters?
Mm. Yeah, thanks for that question. Can you hear me okay?
It's still a little low. I'm going to ask actually folks in the audience if they can hear you because it just might just be me. So folks are listening in. Share comments if you're having any trouble on the audio side.
Okay, somebody said they can hear fine, so
Okay,
that's
perfect. So it might just be
okay,
me. I can hear you. I
okay,
just want to make sure
good.
the audience can as well.
All right, great, great. Yeah, Evolving Sisters really came out of my desire to not just be a solopreneur, but to do something that will ignite and inspire other women. So I'm constantly thinking of ways to take the women who have been through my training programs and turn them into coaches themselves so that as my program expands, they're evolving and they get to be the ones coaching and
Wow.
facilitating as well.
Wow. And how did you become a business coach? Like how did you get into this line of work? I feel like everywhere I turn now, people are telling me that they're working with a coach, and that just was not the case even 5 years ago. So something has shifted in the atmosphere, and I don't know what it is. I'd love to hear more from you about what's happening there.
Yeah, that's a really good observation. I feel like people who want to go fast and far need to get to have support at a pretty high level. Because if we're left to our own devices, we constantly recreate what we know.
Right?
And if we want
Right?
to go further than what we know, then we need another consciousness in the room that pushes us to go to places we wouldn't otherwise go. I mean, it's a comfort zone thing.
Yeah. Is it partially about just pace? Like I need to be consistent. Is it partially about direction? I know where I want to go. I'm not sure just the path to follow. Is it a little bit of both?
It's probably both. I think the thing that I found to be the game changer is that a coach holds a space and a frequency that you get to live into. You don't quite live into it yet. You know you're
Yeah.
capable of it, but the coach holds that frequency, holds you higher, and then you rise into it. I mean, I've made more money being coached than I have ever made. And it's not
Wow.
because I don't know the skills. I teach other people the skills.
Yeah.
It's that I will relax into my comfort zone and I will forget what's possible in a way that someone else who sees me, because we're seeing ourselves from inside out. they're seeing us on the outside and our impact and who we are. And oftentimes self-image doesn't match how other people see
Right.
us.
Wow. Interesting. So tell us your personal story about how you found your path here.
Yeah, like all paths, they twist and they turn. I used to be a lawyer before this. And I actually really loved being a lawyer. I was a fundraiser before that, and I raised money for women's causes, hospitals, art institutions, women, animals. And then I went to law school and I had a blast. I loved it. I just didn't like practicing law because I
I
didn't
hear
want
that a
anyone
lot.
owning my time. That's the thing, that the firm owns you. They think they own you. I think that gets to have a big upgrade in 2021, but that's how it was in the late 1990s, early 2000s. And so that was also the time I was going on a spiritual pilgrimage to India, and I met the Dalai Lama, and then that opened up like it opened up everything, and I ended up going on a spiritual journey that took me like 10 years of lots of crying and lots of breakdown and just shedding the old self. And then it really wasn't
Were you still doing fundraising or law while you were on that spiritual journey, or did you step out of all of that to go on the journey?
I pretty much stepped out of it. I was consulting. I mean, one of the things that you can do in breakdown is you can consult with what you knew before. But I wasn't really like owning my seat as a consultant. That was kind of what that came later as I stepped into coaching as a real thing. But I wrote my book when I turned 50 called The Art of Turning 50. And that just launched me into coaching. It launched me into being a stand for the empowerment of women. And of course, we're at this time in history where the feminine is rising. I just completed a 19 interview summit. It'll launch tomorrow.
Wow, excited. Tell us where we can find out more about it.
It's called the Divine Feminine Summit, divinefemininesummit.com. And you can register. It's totally free. And it's really a curated conversation with women spiritual leaders and teachers about the future, about the current and the future of the feminine rising. And it's epic. I learned so much. And in each interview, we activate you in an archetype of the divine feminine. So like warrior goddess. Yeah. Like on one end, warrior goddess, on another end, sacred courtesan. So it's
wow, I love it.
Right?
I can't wait to see it. It's funny because I'm glad there's like a diversity of archetypes, right? Because you think about this one lane of what femininity is, and it just shows up in so many ways. Which actually relates to a question I have for you. When I initially sort of started to kind of unpack some of the work that you do, I struggled a bit because I had this concept of spirituality in my head, and then I had this concept of business. And this spirituality for me is like it's peace, it's calm, it's equilibrium, it's being present. And when I think about business, I'm thinking forward, I'm thinking funnels, I'm thinking about pitching and selling. And so how do you help people hold those two very different ways and states of being in one space?
Oh, goodness. That's such a great question. Yeah, I feel like business is a spiritual path. And I say that to the women who are building their businesses because it's freaking hard. And it's hard only that we confront ourselves and who we think we are. There's this vision of who we want to be and we want to serve. And I believe that if you're listening to this, probably you too, women have this desire to co-create a brand new earth, a new way of being.
Right.
And that to be that person who can be the channel for that information to come through, you have to have a different self-image. you got to be willing to be seen. And so many light workers are not willing to be seen because of like ancestral wounds of being killed for being seen and for having gifts. And so it is a spiritual path to take it on and say yes and be uncomfortable. And then, you know, to me, my spirituality isn't oftentimes about peace. You know, I hold that. There's like a moment like on the paddleboard and on the water where you can like experience it for a moment and then, you know, you get triggered. And so, so like spirituality is about breaking through, breaking down so that you can break through.
Wow. I'm going to have to follow up with you on this, because this is definitely a personal kind of journey for me as well, to sort of think about how do you have peace and still pursue and persist and do all of these other amazing things. So again, as I was unpacking some of the things that you do at Evolving Sisters, I had two questions for you. Do you coach a range of people in businesses, or only folks who are interested in coaching others? Like, so if I'm in like investment banking, could you coach me, or is it really only folks who are pursuing the coaching path?
Well, I do several things. The women who come to me who don't want to build a business, either are already in it or maybe retired, we work on sovereignty and empowerment issues, because it's time for the feminine to really own her seat.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people spiritually awakening right now, and they're just coming home to who and what they really are, and they need a coach, they need a guide. It's messy business. And then there are others who have already been through that enough where they're ready to serve. And that doesn't mean that they're serving someone who's at their level. They may be serving someone who just is starting out on the journey that they were on. And so that's a whole different group. And I have a whole different group for those women. I do the Divine Feminine Inner Circle, which is an empowerment group for women. And then we do like those who wanted to coach in business and learn how to be a coach. That's a whole separate mastermind group.
This must be a very generative time for you, just given what we've all been through over the last year. I'm sure your phone people are texting you off the hook. I mean, I think we're all going through a lot of inner work, forcibly, voluntarily or involuntarily. And are you seeing a range of people who you might not otherwise have seen reach out to you, who may not have otherwise been, you know, perhaps at this point, at this inflection point, because of what we've all been through?
Oh, yeah, no doubt that 2020 was so important for all of us on the level of consciousness. It's been a massive reboot. And it's wobbly too right now. I mean, it's our consciousness is unstable. It's the way of it. We are looking at a future that we have never seen before. On all levels, technologically. I mean, technologically, this has been like we've been eating baby food. And so you, Chinwe, you know, you're going to be pivoting to quite huge. Whoops, there you are. The next advances will be really huge of what gets to happen in the technological arena and in our consciousness. I mean, so yes, we're seeing people wake up. I'm seeing my mom interested in these conversations. Like, how many mothers like actually reading books, and then they're telling you, oh, guess what? And you're like, yeah, I told you that like 10 years ago. But you know, it's like they're coming along, they're discovering Eckhart Tolle, they're watching Super Soul Sunday and Oprah, you know, whatever it is, whatever it takes, you know. And so our job is, as leaders, is to bring them into the fold and really elevate as quickly as possible, because there's so much. Like, here's the thing about spirituality. It's, when you talk about that piece, being a businesswoman, you get to find that on the inside, and it's a yoga means union with. It's a constant interplay of who I'm being in the world and what I'm creating in the world. But we're going to get a chance to experience our superpowers in a way that we have never experienced ourselves as humans before, ever. And that's so exciting. And the way that that happens is if enough of us are at a frequency level that creates the next, like, it's like, think about the goddess. She just keeps creating and unfolding herself. There's no end game to it.
Yeah. It's my older brother was very into sort of exploring kind of inner work and sort of deep thinking, and he would always talk about this concept of collective consciousness. Yeah. Right. And so this notion of where, as we all emerge, that's what pushes us forward as sort of like humanity, right? Is when enough of us sort of say, this is where we need to be. This is the new norm. That's what pushes us forward. So, so I love that you use the term superpowers. Can you share with us, I'm sure you have endless numbers of these, but can you share with us one transformation story that sort of, you're reflecting on recently, or that just has really touched you?
Yeah, I mean, certainly witnessing clients as they start to work with me, and then who they are becoming as they end. Most of my terms are 6 months, but I work also, a couple of clients have been with me for 3 years, and just witnessing the level of growth that happens in the spaces in between. Growth is not from your brain, it's from your mind, from what you think it's in the conversation, in these spaces in between, in such a deep place of our heart. So witnessing clients that had really codependent relationships come out of them, start to own, like, I have a client who's 32, just owning her power, and now she's becoming a coach and a teacher. And really the blossoming of her gifts are coming online. And that makes me so happy. Some of my clients make their money back from coaching in the first 30 days because they're ready, and they just need that focus and direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked that 6 months is a typical term for you, because this seems like a lifelong journey. And, it's one of those things where, given the areas of work that you do with folks, it's like, we're going to be together forever. Like, how do you get folks ready in 6 months? There seems to be so much work that needs to be done.
Yeah, and it's not going to be only through one person. And here's kind of the thing, I work with women leaders in my summit, for example. I have 19 women leaders that I'm working with. Often a lot of my clients work with not all of them, but several of them. People who are hungry and on the spiritual path do multiple things. I think that a 12-month program is probably going to be my future, but I don't go less than 6, because I know that right around 3, we're just getting started. And it's so interesting how the mind likes to shorten everything, but it's like giving it the space. And even the Dalai Lama says, you all want to be enlightened so fast.
Exactly. That's right. That's exactly the point, right?
and the truth is that consciousness is exponential right now. So it is going really fast, and we can get a lot done in 6 months, and we can get a lot done in 12 months. It's just stay the course. If that speaks to you or anyone else, it's just a matter of staying the course.
If I think about people listening to this, I think everyone, has people in their lives that they coach and that they mentor, that look to them for inspiration, whether they feel, inspired or not. But I think when people think about, wow, doing like building a business out of this, like who would hire me as a client? Like who would seek me out and pay me to do this? Like I noticed in your practice, you actually help people build communities. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's really great. I feel like everyone starting has that thought, like, who am I? And that's sort of one of the great lies of the old era that's getting broken down, because if you notice, there are people behind you always. There's people in front of you always, you know, longer on their spiritual path, more advanced in their maturity. So what we get to do is work with where we are and discover, you know, you've heard this, if you're a coach or in this business, you've heard of the term of your ideal client avatar. We work so deeply with your avatar, because once you know who it is you're helping and who it is you're passionate about serving, then that kind of voice in your head about who am I goes away, because you realize, oh yeah, I could have totally used a coach when I was that part of my journey at that age. Oh my God, it would have made everything so much more simple. And instead, I took 20 years to figure it out myself. And frankly, we don't have time for that. You know, we could really just we could implode the planet if in that kind of time. So we don't have time for that. We got everybody to get like, okay, get activated and do what you can do. And then I think it brings tremendous joy. And I hear back from my clients, and I know for myself that it makes a lot of that pain and suffering that we went through really worthwhile, that we can pay it forward.
You know, I totally got the concept of coaching right from the beginning. It might have something to do with my last name. It's Onyagoro. In Igbo, it means who will be my witness. And I see a coach as a witness. They're a witness to your life, to your successes, to your challenges. And they're also someone who kind of helps you think through how do you persevere. So I totally get it. So we're running up on time here. I'd love for you to share, for people who aren't aware of PocketSuite, what PocketSuite has been or meant to you just in your business and in your journey.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, I recommend PocketSuite to all of my US clients who are starting businesses, because my favorite thing about PocketSuite, and I think I've been with you almost from the beginning, is that you do the 3-in-1. And because I have a law background, but it's more than that, really. I love agreements and the payment processor and the calendar. That's my 3-in-1 that are absolutely essential to my business. And the agreements, not so much so that I can enforce them in court, because I wasn't even a court lawyer before. I was a contracts lawyer. But what I love about it is that when I onboard a client, everything happens on that call. So because of the technology, I just shoot them over the agreement, and I actually go through it with them point by point by point. I ask questions so that it's not a scary thing, but we have a meeting of the minds. And PocketSuite's technology allows them to go through it as I'm going through it on the phone or Zoom with them. And then they sign it with their finger. And so it's done. And then I take payment and I schedule their first call, all in the same call. So I have no leaky boundaries. I have a container, and the person feels my leadership and they feel held inside that container. And the technology is what enables that to happen. If I didn't have that, it would be like, sending it through email and then trying to follow up for weeks. Did you get that thing signed? Did you get that thing signed? And that's just, it's not where the coaching needs to be. The coaching needs to be on the person and what they're wanting to cause and create for themselves. So technology has just been a game changer. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I love the fact that you add that human element to it. So it's not, I'm going to send it over and leave you with it. I'm going to send you over and I'm going to explain and help you understand so we can move to that next step. Wow. Kenlyn, you're an inspiration. Thank you so much for everything you do in the community, everything you do for your broader community. And we'll be in touch about the new series that you are sharing. Looking forward to promoting it throughout our coaching network.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been great. Blessings to you all. Have a happy Sunday.
Wishing you warmer weather.
Yeah. Amen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.